have unlimited authority to make requests or demands on that day, on October 23rd, 2013? Did you have unbounded, unlimited authority to make requests and demands of Mr. Gray such that Mr. Gray's refusal to comply or acquiesce with such request or demand would subject him to arrest, could subject him to arrest for resisting or disobeying you?
Yes.
What's going on?
Good.
Get ready.
For what? I'm being detained or anything?
No, you're not being detained, but you've made yourself
Good, how are
part of
you?
this traffic stop.
No, I'm observing the traffic stop.
Who are you?
I'm a journalist gathering content for a story.
I'm sorry?
Journalist gathering content for a story.
For a story? What kind of story?
Just a story I'm working on.
What's the name of your story? What company do you work for?
Hold on a second.
What's your name? Oh, I see. You're one of those kind of guys. Okay. Well, do me a favor. Stand over here in the shade,
All right.
but don't stand behind this deputy while he's conducting
That's why I was standing more over there when you guys
Well,
pulled in.
actually, you were, sir. So
Still
stand
pretty
over
close
there,
to him.
like I asked you to, so you're not behind this deputy while he's conducting
Okay,
business.
I'll stand over here.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
Now you're trespassing, so they want you to leave.
Okay, you went and got her to trespass me. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not asking you. I'm not going to argue
That's
or
fine,
dispute
I'm
with you. I'm telling you, leave and leave right now.
Leave right now. Can I get your name and badge number before I go?
Leave and leave right now.
Can I get your name and badge number?
No, sir. You can
Before I
leave
go.
and leave right now.
Okay. I'll tell my wife to move it. I'll move over here on the public right away.
All right, sir. That's it. I'm done telling you. You're under arrest. Back. Put them behind your back.
Get back there.
Don't resist me. You don't have to tell me your name, and I'm not going to ask you again.
I'm not resisting. Why am I under arrest?
For obstructing justice and trespassing.
We told you to leave several times. You failed to do so. We told you to leave several times.
I don't understand why you're being difficult, sir.
I'm just documenting the traffic stop.
You're not related to media. You don't have a public relations card with a media.
Actually, I do. I'm with photography. It's not a crime.
Yes, it is a crime.
We told you to leave several times.
I don't understand why you're being difficult, sir.
I'm just documenting the traffic stop.
You're not related to media. You don't have a public relations card with a media.
Actually, I do. I'm with photography. It's not a crime.
Yes, it is a crime. Spread your feet. I'm not going to ask you. Don't pull away from me. Don't resist me in any way. Resistance will be futile and you will get hurt.
I'm not going to resist.
If you don't tell your wife to cooperate, she'll go to jail.
Oh my God! Look what you did to my phone, man.
I didn't do that to your phone, sir. You did that to your phone.
Trying to stop.
You hold him?
I'm not going to resist. I'm fine.
I know you're not. You hold him? All right, sir. Watch your back.
Okay. What's the best way to go in?
Butt first.
Butt first. Okay.
You will be booked in as John Doe. And because you're not cooperating, you'll be booked in as John Doe, and you'll sit in jail for 48 hours until they determine who you are by your fingerprints. I'm not asking you again. I've already asked you once. You want to play that whole bullshit with me? Go right ahead and do it at the jail. You can kiss my ass. That's what you can do.
How did he interfere with the traffic stop?
Well, again, it's almost 4 years ago, so I'll go off my best of my recollection, but
Please do.
he did something to cause Deputy Cook to stop his investigation, stop his traffic stop, to call for a backup unit. So, therefore, he interfered. That's an obstruction.
And to the best of your knowledge, as you sit here today, the only thing of which you're aware, as we sit here today, that Mr. Gray did or omitted to do, that prompted Deputy Cook to call for backup was photograph and or video record Deputy Cook's traffic stop. Is that correct?
Yes.
You're not aware of Mr. Gray having done anything else to prompt Deputy Cook to call for backup. Is that right?
Correct.
And yet, your testimony is also that it sounds to me, correct me if I'm wrong, that because Mr. Gray's photography and or videography prompted Deputy Cook to call for backup, Mr. Gray committed the crime of obstructing the traffic stop. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so, again, I just want to be absolutely crystal clear. Your testimony is that Mr. Gray obstructed the traffic stop,
Yes.
and he did so by photographing and or video recording Deputy Cook.
His actions caused him to stop his traffic stop, interfered with his traffic stop, which is what the obstruction is.
And the actions to which you refer that were undertaken by Mr. Gray were photography and or videography, right?
I'm going to assume being too close to it also, which is what made him nervous.
Your testimony was that Mr. Gray was 35 feet from him. Is that correct?
Approximately, yes.
And so by photographing and or video recording Deputy Cook from 35 feet away, and so by photographing and or video recording Deputy Cook from 35 feet away, Mr. Gray committed the crime of obstructing Deputy Cook's traffic stop. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. After arriving on scene that day, did Deputy Cook express any concerns to you about any risk of harm posed by Mr. Gray to Deputy Cook?
No. Whatever Mr. Gray was doing before I got there caused concern to Deputy Cook, which is why he called for backup.
And Deputy Cook, in calling for backup, conveyed the basis for his concern to you, right?
Yes.
And the basis for his concern was that Mr. Gray was taking photographs, right?
Yes.
Deputy Cook didn't convey any other details to you about what Mr. Gray was doing, right?
I don't think he did, yes. Correct.
Okay. You asked Mr. Gray to move closer to the building.
Yes.
What happened next?
I made contact with the director or manager of the building and asked her if she wanted him removed from the property.
And what did she say?
Yes.
And what did you do then?
I went back and talked to Mr. Gray and told him now he's trespassing and he had to leave the property.
Did Mr. Gray exit the private property onto and enter the right-of-way?
Yes.
And did he do that prior to you arresting him?
Yes.
And then what happened?
I arrested him on the right of way in front of this traffic stop.
So when you effected the arrest, you and Mr. Gray were on the right-of-way.
Yes.
Is it your understanding that Mr. Gray committed a crime by leaving his van in the parking lot after you issued him a warning to leave?
I believe it was part of the trespass crime, yes.
So someone can be subject to arrest not only by refusing to leave after having been issued a trespass warning, but also by leaving property, personal property like a van, on someone else's property after having been issued a trespass warning. Is that your understanding of the law?
No, I don't think just leaving personal property on someone else's property is a crime. I think if you're trespassing and you're told to get in your van and leave, and you just walk away and leave your van with your wife and kid in it, that's part of that element for that particular incident.
And I want to make sure I understand you.
Okay.
Okay. Your testimony is that even if he had immediately departed the property and proceeded on to, say, the right-of-way, but still left his van in the parking lot, he could have still been subject to arrest for trespassing after warning because of the fact that he left his van in the parking lot.
Not just because he left the van in the parking lot.
Why else then?
I guess the question would be, why leave your van with your child and your wife in it when you could just get in the van and take the van, your property, off of the property that you're being trespassed from and alleviate the problem? I guess that would be the question.
It's not the question.
Well, I mean, I know it's
not
the
the
question, but to
The
answer your
question
question is no, it's not a crime to just leave property somewhere.
Okay. And that is the question.
Okay, yes.
My question is,
No, it's not a crime to just leave it there.
it's only a crime if he refuses to remove his person
Yes.
from private property.
So it's part of the trespass crime, but then now we go back to the obstruction crime. If I tell him, take your van and your wife and your child and leave this property that you're being trespassed from verbally, and you refuse to do that, now doesn't that go back to now he's not complying with that? I mean,
And I want to make sure I
right.
understand.
If he would have just left, problem would have been solved.
Okay. But he didn't want to leave.
Correct.
He wanted to photograph the traffic stop, right?
Right, which we told him he could.
Yeah.
And we told him where he could do that, but he didn't want to do that either.
Yeah. And you told him that he could do that closer to the building, right?
Yes.
Closer to the private property,
Yes.
further into the private property from which you then
Trespassed in front.
trespassed him from.
Correct.
Right.
I believe if he would have complied and gone up on the sidewalk by the building to video all the video he wanted or photographs, there would have been no situation. I believe if after he was told he was trespassing, if he would have got in his van and drove away, there would have been no situation. I believe if he didn't get out and walk into the grass there and cause some kind of fear or some kind of concern with Deputy Cook, I wouldn't have even had to come to the scene. So if he would have just, I don't want to say, if he would have just been a nice guy, and if I said, hey sir, can you just go stand up there and take all the video you want? But he didn't want to. He wanted to prove his point, and here we are.
If he had been a nice guy,
Yes.
you told him that he can kiss your ass, right?
No, I didn't tell him that.
You didn't say that?
I said it, but I didn't tell it to him. That was after the fact. That was his recording still going.
Okay. But Mr. Gray was the guy who was not a nice guy that day.
That is correct.
Okay.
The time is 12:42. That concludes the deposition of Brian Stoll. We are now off record.